so. I mean, we talked about the course itself being tweaked, but the start times also have been tweaked. When Haile Gebrselassie ran here, it was always a 7 o'clock start, and he said it was great for the first hour, but when the sun came up, it really posed him problems. That may be eliminated this year.
Well, we are underway, as you can see, and you can hear a little bit of singing and chanting in the back, and we've got the kind of Ethiopian choir fan club, so to speak, in the stand. They're here every year. The early start time doesn't seem to deter them at all. So that's what you can probably pick up. And you can see the flashing lights, almost like something out of a sci-fi film as they head towards us early on. And of course, it's going to be dark for about an hour. Lights are going to start getting light around about 7 a.m. So 60 minutes time.
That's something they're going to have to manage as well, I think, is the glare of the lights, because when you're looking into a bright light and then you need to look down to a darker road to check your footing, check where people are in front of you, and that might pose difficulties in itself. You can also see it's quite foggy, so the humidity is pretty high here at the moment. I was talking to someone last night who was explaining to me that the dew point here is around about 13 degrees. So at that point, it's very, very difficult to sweat efficiently when you're racing, and it's already above that now today. So it is picking up for them, and it is drying out a little bit, but it's still very high and actually quite difficult conditions for marathon running.
Yeah, I don't remember it being quite as misty as this in previous years.
Well, I was here once, Trevor, when it was 10 degrees and foggy, really foggy. I mean, there is quite a heavy mist this morning, as everyone can clearly see. And I don't know if that's going to make any difference. I mean, Paula, when you ran yesterday morning in training, you said that your throat was hurting. There seemed to be quite a bit of pollution.
Yeah, I mean, every year that you come back to Dubai, you see how much it's growing, and I guess it's inevitable within that. It's a huge city, that there will be levels of pollution. I maybe sensed it a little bit, not on the levels that I did in Beijing, but certainly on higher levels than other big cities that I've run in. This time in the morning on a Friday as well, when there's a lot less traffic around, I think it will be a lot better out there for these guys.
Just spot Tola there, tucked in just behind the leading three. We've got a silver in the World Championships in London last August, and obviously he's also a medalist, as Pat was saying, an Olympic medalist at 10,000 metres. And I guess the key thing, as well as focusing in the early stages, Paul, is just keeping out of trouble. We've had incidents before where there's been problems at the start and very early on. You want to just make sure you veer away from any of that.
You absolutely do, and maybe that preempted the decision to set off the elite this year an hour ahead of the mass race, because there was that little tussle at the start last year, and Bekele ended up going down, and that was pretty much race over for him. So in this way, they get underway, and they've only really got probably less than 50 athletes on that start line to worry about, and it's quickly thinning out and spreading out, and they're starting now to concentrate on just getting themselves settled into that rhythm, not using too much energy early on. You can see the three pacemakers basically doing their job perfectly with a wall in front there, and the other runners just settling down behind them. Can't really assess too much of who's in that pack around them because it's dark, so they really are just concentrating on just making sure they're in their right position and they're starting to feel their way into the rhythm. You can see that the street lights are providing a decent amount of light there, and they also have a bike in front of them this year. There is no blue line or white line or any coloured line designating the shortest route on this Dubai course. They actually follow a cyclist who's dressed in blue, and he measures the course and knows that shortest line, so they'll be looking out for him, or the pacemakers will certainly be looking out for him.
So they've gone through the first kilometre in 2:56. You mentioned that early on in the race, Paulie, you kind of get an idea of how your body's feeling. At what point in a race do you actually think, do you know what, I'm going to go fast today? Is it at this kind of stage, or halfway, or is it a plan that you even think about a day before, a month before? How does it work?
It's definitely something I think you think about within the race, but inside that I think it's very unique to each athlete. I like to get to halfway and then really put the hammer down from halfway. I always felt that for me it was easier to run negative splits in a marathon, and better to run fast that way. So to get to halfway feeling good and then push on from there. But you know you're feeling good in the first half, but it's about keeping a lid on it and controlling it.
So the pacemakers out front, and I'm sure they're appreciating the fact that They're out on their own, so to speak. It is the loneliness of a long-distance run. And Lemmer trying to veer up on the shoulder of Tola. Gebrselassie looking strong on the left now. And Geremu hasn't finished either. And now Tola just going to have to really focus here, because they're laying down the gauntlet to him, and Gebrselassie looks the strongest of the four, maybe. Gebrselassie, Geremu, Lemmer and Tola. It looks to be between those four. And they're almost side by side. Look at this. Gebrselassie on the left could just be ahead, but it's very hard to tell, and there isn't much in it. Tola is really struggling. Geremu coming, Tola, Gebrselassie. Gebrselassie and Geremu almost stride for stride, and Tola straining to try and get to them. Lemmer is back and forth at the moment. Haven't seen a finish like this for a long, long time. Geremu in the middle, Tola on the right, Gebrselassie digging in for all he's worth. But it's Geremu who has the advantage now. He's asking all the questions. He's a couple of yards clear and trying to go away. Gebrselassie is the only man who can run him down, but he's not going to do it. This is a phenomenal performance. Inside 2 minutes and 2 hours and 4. Geremu wins. Gebrselassie, that's a really good display from him. Another shot result in the Dubai Marathon. What a finish that was.
Well, I talked about the 2013 finish being good, but that was absolutely terrific. That's the best finish I've ever seen in the Dubai Marathon.
And Geremu deserved that, didn't he? You see, he was fighting as much maybe to try and dip under the 2:04, but certainly to get that course record, as he was to get the victory. But he was maybe didn't even notice the clock, given the battle that he was in to get to that finish line. He kept his powder dry for so much of that race, really didn't make any moves until that final one in the final straight.
It's amazing, isn't it, how this race just continually throws up surprising results. That was another one. And in a really good time as well. You were talking about Gebrselassie on more than one occasion in that race. You always thought it was going well, Paul, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I think when you come in with the pedigree that he came in with over the half marathon distance, when you've got a 59.18 in your legs and you're still there in the closing stages, then you've got to be in with a good chance. And I think he thought he did, but he was just caught out, if you like, by just how much Geremu had left and how much he was able to fight and to raise it in that closing straight. I don't think that Gebrselassie finished badly by any means. He ran extremely well, and well, obviously he's running personal best because it's his debut, but he's running probably, I'm not sure what the fastest debut time ever is, but I think he's probably got to be close to that with that run there today. And you can see Tola gave it everything. Maybe he just controlled it and tried to stamp his authority on it a little bit too much in the second half of that race, but he just didn't have quite enough in his legs to...
Lesse chasing down Tadesse to try and get into second place, but Beresia with a very healthy advantage as we come towards 2:19 on the clock. And she can see the finish line clearly in sight. This is going to be well inside the course record. The course record is 2:19.31. And here she comes, Rosa Desire, who is putting a superb performance here to win the Dubai Marathon, and the course record has been smashed. And she'll turn around and have a reasonably long wait to see who's going to follow her in for second and third. That's a great shot. I think it was Tadesse in second and Lesse in third. We'll confirm that for you. There's Tadesse.
Yeah, it was Tadesa followed by Malaysia, and now De Geefer, last year's winner, going to cross the line in that 4th position, but still a significant personal best for her. They're still coming in under 220. I can see Galita Burka running up the finishing straight. She's just going to miss out on that 220, but she's still going to run a big personal best. And before that, is that Teferi just coming across the line?
Well, it's the kind of event that just keeps